Hey, welcome back to the workbench, everybody. David here at Scale Models Midwest. Hope you're having a great weekend. Down here this evening, working on a couple of kits, getting them started. These are going to be relatively quick builds, so tonight just going to kind of show you what I'm working on and see how long it takes to put this one together before I put it in the paint booth. This first kit, like I said, it's going to be a relatively quick build, just box stock, sand. I'm thinking very seriously about cutting out the trunk lids so you can show the detail on the fuel cell in the back, but otherwise no real detail than that, just paint detail. This is Salvinos JR 1981 Pontiac Lemans, number 28, Bobby Allison. It is a very sharp car. This is a much smaller car in the era than some of the bigger cars like Monte Carlo even, or the Dodge Magnum, which I really wish we had a model kit of the Dodge Magnum. Even though the thing was a brick aerodynamically and a brick speed-wise, still I think pretty sharp car. And besides everybody wanting a NASCAR Javelin, that's one that everybody would want. And yeah, someday, right? But anyhow, we got this. It's a super sharp kit. Salvinos JR puts out quality stuff. If you're not a member of their club, become a member of their club. If you go to your local hobby shop, anyone that sells Salvinos JR kits usually has a little form inside where you can email them, become a member of their club, and then get the kit of the month ahead of time, buy extras, get extra decals sometimes. But again, go to your local hobby shop if you don't have that opportunity and support them as well. Keep them in business. So what do we have with this kit? Again, it's all out of the box, clean. I'll show you the decal sheet real quick. This is a kit that's molded in what looks like grayish silver plastic, at least for the body, and for the nose, bumper, hood, and headlamps. Everything else is molded in white. No chrome on this one, so this is perfect. I think maybe the colors we'll end up using on this will be silver, flat and gloss black, and maybe some detail paint. That's it. So it's a kit that can be built by anybody relatively quickly, and they do go together really well. So going to the decals. First things first, here's the decal sheet, and if you see from the angle, the 28s for the door sides are kind of like a chrome foil look. You may not be able to see in the camera, but trust me, they look sharp. The top is just black with red pinstriping. Otherwise, all the Tuf-Lon sponsored decals, friction fighter, and especially the one for the hood, pretty sharp, and the pinstriping that goes around and separates the black from silver with the decal sheet with the black panel. Now, I have used these decal sheets before in their entirety without having to cut them. You might want to cut the large panels into smaller, manageable pieces, maybe from the front fender and the back 3/4, but it's your choice. Otherwise, I have built kits with this big of a decal before from Salvinos, and they lay down smoothly. Just make sure you have some micro saw, micro set, some Tamiya Mark Fit. It'll work just fine for you, and then give it time for it to conform to the body lines. So again, the body is molded in a gray silver plastic, and I'm going to sand this down. It's already been cleaned, but I'm going to sand some of the top parts, like the hood and the top part of the nose piece, and of course the body. On the body, if you left it as is, it'll work just great. Decals cover up most of this stuff, but if you get closer to it, there is like a line there and a line there. I don't think that's a mold line per se, but right here at the end, they look like little mold release marks. But still, light sanding work just fine. Again, I'm thinking very seriously on using my scriber from Tamiya to open up the deck lid to show the detail of the you can see it here, the fuel cell, that right there. And you figure if you don't open up that detail is pretty much covered once you put the body together. And looking also at this one, I don't know if anybody else has had this particular kit and they've seen it, but what looks like two, like, I don't know, probably injector release marks, they're right there. They can be sanded down, so that's not a make or break deal. All right, you're always going to find something on a kit that needs to be fixed, and this kit's no different. One being that there's a fair amount of flash on this kit and some of the parts, but it's nothing that you can take care of with the number 11 X-Acto blade. So you can see there's some more flash there. Of course, you'll have to remove parts from like your front piece before painting, which I intend to do just that. And then one thing that kind of got me, I noticed the camera is bent. It's literally bent. So I am going to just straighten it out. That's all I did. I might just run a bead of CA glue and some accelerant just to kind of keep it in place. And I think that'll work just fine. Then of course, rest of the kit here, if you notice, it also has another hood, and I think it could be the same. I'm not sure, we'll find out. No, it's not. I think it is the Monte Carlo hood. Reason being is if you look at the Pontiac, looks more like a beak, and this one has that a little further out. So I think that's the Monte Carlo hood, maybe even a Buick Regal hood. And the reason why I say that is because right there you've got the 86-87 Monte Carlo nose piece and bumper. So it's kind of cool to have little extra parts like that. You can make a diorama, put one of these together. I mean, most of us gearheads would love to have like a race run piece of some race car's bodywork sitting up in their garage or their workshop. I'm no different. I'd love to have one of those, but yeah, they got awful expensive at times. So yeah, it's there. So I'll save those for parts. Got some flash here to clean up along the roll cage, and there's nothing to it. And then you have, I think this is a Pontiac grill. So again, parts box, no spoiler, parts box. But notice again, no chrome pieces, so no big deal there. But then again, flash around the headlamp assembly, which I won't use these for because the Pontiac has their own. And then some flash around here. So yeah, not a big deal. Those things you can easily correct as you're building a model. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. Show you what I come about in about an hour or so worth of work. And like that, we're done. So I have this cut away from the body. I have sanded the edges pretty well. I still have to get a couple of spots where the scriber left the line, but just remember when you're working with a scriber or a dental pick like this, I've got right here, I've got about 5 of those. Make sure you do light passes, don't dig. Don't try to saw into it. That's what this is for when you get to the edges and the ends. But this one, just lightly drag it, and it'll take off. A little bit of plastic, but don't think that you got to dig deeper to get more plastic. Less is more, and it just takes maybe about 15-20 passes lightly for it to go through. Once it goes through, when I had some more towards the ends, that's when I went and used my saw blade just to lightly get in there and pop it. And then I just used my X-Acto blade to trim up the edges, and then finally my sanding sticks to make it all nice and smooth. So I could hinge this if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm just going to actually just put a thin piece of plastic across the top. I'm going to kind of look at the bottom and see where I can put the plastic on the side, so this has something to rest on, and then that way I can just take it off whenever I feel like it. I might glue a wire to it, because if you've ever seen one of these cars flip, they usually have a wire or something attached to the trunk lid, so it'll stay with the car as it's rolling, so it doesn't go flying off into the stands or anything like that. So I may very well do that, just so I can take it off to the side and then just put it back on, and also when it's being displayed on the shelf. So back to it. So just 2 hours in, and as you can see, I've got pretty much all the sub-assemblies put together and ready for primer and paint. The body, after putting the front and back nose pieces on, I sanded it with 1500 and 2400 grit sanding pads, and then gave it a couple of coats of Tamiya Silver Leaf, And then I'm going to mask that and paint the interior flat black to kind of offset the semi-gloss black roll cage. I've also got the hood and the trunk lid also painted. I got the inserts as well painted. They're off camera. But yeah, 2 hours worth of work. Really comes together pretty quickly. And yeah, so far so good. We'll get this in primer before I go to bed, and we'll give you an update tomorrow. Okay, so it's Sunday afternoon, and been working on the model for about 2 or 3 hours. And as you can see, I've got some decals on it already. I have quite a bit of micro sol on these large panels. My recommendation is, if you'd like to, cut the panels about, I'd say right around here. There's no door line detail, so I would say right here about where the A pillar begins, straight down. And then maybe another one here by the B pillar, cut that. It did go on in one panel just fine, but I did have quite a few bubbles here, which I did poke little holes in with my X-Acto. And then I used microsol on that as well. I did that on both sides. Again, I did the full panel, but you can do it yourself using 3 cuts and should be okay. And that works pretty much on any really large decals. Some of the Salvinos JR decal sets for the Gen 6 cars are the same way, so just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing that. I still have to button down a couple of items. I did cut out the trunk lid so we could have the detail here. Of course, I still have to detail paint that. But as you can see, I did let that dry, but when I cut it, I didn't get a good enough cut line. But these are gloss black decals, so a little bit of Testors touch-up gloss black will do the trick just fine. And as you can see, did all right on the trunk lid, so that's looking pretty good. The rest of the kit, like I said, I've got it out of the paint booth primary. I still have to do some touch-up paint. Like on this, I'm going to do the AN fittings in blue and red clear. The shocks, I got those painted, and I'll kind of weather them a little bit. Same thing with parts of the roll cage, the engine, right here, the headers. You know, pretty much everything is ready to start putting together as far as the kit's concerned, but I am going to let it dry as far as the decals are concerned before I put any more decals on, because there are 2 sheets, 1, and 2, if you rush putting decals on, you run the risk of damaging some of your decals. They won't sit too well. So I figured put the 3 big decals on, as well as the rear panel, and then let that dry. Come back to it tomorrow and figure that out. So just want to show you my update on that. Also, found something. I'm going to move this out of the way real quick and kind of give you an update on something I was looking for on the King of the Mountain Corvette. So I've been looking for tires and rims that would sit well with this kit, and I've really been striking out. So I was talking with the guy that I know that runs the hobby shop up in Ames, and before I left, he goes, I might have something that'll work for you. He went back into his storeroom and came out with this really faded old Tamiya RC package that had a 2-pack of tires and rims. These are foam rims, or foam tires, sorry. And the plastic rims, you know, they're nothing to really write home about, but I took a look at them and I thought maybe they'll work. So I put them on the kit, and right away I said, yeah, perfect. These will fit just fine on the kit. They actually look like they'll fit on the wheel backs too. And I think that'll work just well. Kind of set that around so you might see the wheel well to the lip. And then much the same way in the front. I think that'll do the trick. The drawback is he only had a pair. So I'm going to kind of take a look. Look at that. If I flip it over, I think it looks kind of cool. I'm going to check out my local hobby shop Hobby Haven in Urbandale, and I'm going to see if they've got anything about this size. So I think these are 1/10 or 1/12 scale. Couldn't tell from the package, but these are dang near perfect. So I'm going to go with this as an opportunity to find another set of tires like that. Maybe a set of 4. If not, I can get 2. No worries there. But I also picked up some really soft, malleable solder from Menards, and I'm going to work with Terry and figure out how to make my own headers, because I decided that I was going to go that route, making my own headers and side pipes. And I figure, you know, kind of step out of my comfort zone, doing something I've never done before. And I think that's going to really look good with that Corvette. So beyond that, I'm going to jump off the table, go watch some football games. Hope you're building the cool kits as well. We'll see you in the next video.